are blue, all the birds are flying through.
Okay, it's nice seeing new faces, old faces here. Welcome everyone. We're just gonna do a little introduction of everyone in this table.
Hi, I'm Nick Ducote. I'm a first year, and do I say my film title?
Yes.
My film is Until Morning on YouTube.
Ooh. Hi, I'm Anya. Oh wow, I really defaulted to YouTube vibes. Hi, I'm Anya, also known as Mapity. And I am a fourth year in character animation, and my film was called Welcome to the Globosphere.
Hi, I'm Sally, BFA2 student. My film is called Grandpa Stamps.
Hello, I'm Matthew. I'm also a BFA2 student, and my film is called When the Skies Are Blue.
Hello, I'm Luke. I'm a BFA3, and my film is called Giant Crush.
Oh, nice to meet everyone. So our first section is called the question jar, and we will take the pink out first, whichever is the pink one.
Okay.
I mean,
Pick a pink one.
Yes, Nick.
Only pink, only pink. Okay.
You must pick.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
No.
What is your film about? What made you decide to tell this story? Why don't I start? So my film is about two groovy souls who meet on the disco dance floor of love. And yeah, it's just a fun story that I really wanted to tell about, I don't know, like queer people in the 70s and like, you know, untold like time, I guess. And like, yeah, I just wanted to represent for my community, and yeah, it's about love. Yeah. Woohoo.
Okay, my film, Welcome to the Globosphere, is the opening sequence to the animated series I want to make someday. This is actually attempt number 3 at making this opening. The first time I made it to apply to CISA when I was 16. Second time was on my first gap year in 2021, and then all of my friends and I got busy. And so this was my last chance to make a finished film at this damn school. Did I finish? No, but I will. And I figured that my last year was my time to be super self-indulgent, and that's why I did it.
Yeah. My film is about my grandpa's stamp collection, so it's a very personal story. And I wanted to talk about it for quite a long time because he collects so many things, and then I always feel like through his collection I get to learn about him and grow closer to him. So that's why I wanted to tell that story. Yeah.
Yeah, my film is about an artist and a child traversing through a crystal rain apocalypse. Because being an artist has felt really weird recently, and I wanted to make something about that.
My film is about giant robots, giant monsters, and dancing. I really wanted to incorporate those elements because I had never done it before. So I thought it would be good to challenge myself and try new things. But it's also just a mixture of everything I love. So, yeah.
Next, we will take out a blue one. Should the second years take this time?
Oh. Okay. Okay. How did the sounds, like music, sound design, and dialogue, come together for your film? Should I answer it first because I'm holding the...
That is the protocol.
Yes. Yeah, so music was done by my dear friend Etia, who is the crazy maniac of a man who made like freaking the music for like 25 people's films this year and last year. But yeah, he made the music, so I didn't have to worry too much about that. As far as the sound design, I actually got to record all of the Foley in, I think it's A112 or something like that. Yeah, like Etia also helped me with that, but like we basically recorded all of the sounds except for the window breaking because we can't shatter glass, and like ambiances because that was like a bit much. But everything else was made in that studio because I wanted a chance to do that, and it was really fun.
Super cool. How did you do the crystals?
It's like, so... crinkling water bottle, plus marbles in a jar, plus marbles in a jar underwater, and gravel.
Very creative.
We
So
were
cool.
having a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay. Well, I worked with my good friend Maggie, who is our off-screen host today. Yes, she did my music and my sound, so it was a really collaborative process. And then she did so many edits because she's my good friend, so I can just bug her all the time. Yeah, and in terms of voice acting, it was a bit hard because I had a young girl character and an old guy character. And then at first I even wanted them to like have an Asian accent, and then I realized that's not possible. So yeah, I got to find someone from Australia to do the girl voice. So she had a slight Australian accent that I told her to like tone down, which she kind of did. Yeah, and then for grandpa, I actually found someone who is an actual grandpa, and then he knew a teacher of mine, and he came to CalArts to record, and he brought this photo of his granddaughter, and he put it on the side as he recorded. So yeah, that was an amazing experience actually. So working with voice actors was really fun. I think it really helped my film.
Okay, I'll go next, I guess. So my film is pretty light on sound design and has no voice acting. It is just music. This is music I wrote when I was 14, 16, kind of in two parts. And this time around, it was arranged by my good friend, Mate Satulich. And it was super fun. I got to spend time with him in the studio. We were experimenting a bunch. And it's really surreal hearing something become so fleshed out that for years, like literally almost a decade, has just been me played badly on a piano. So that was really fun. I did miss not having voice actors or really any sound design. I definitely want to do that in my next film. But yeah, making my music come to life was cool.
As someone who lives with Anya, I can say it's not badly played on the piano. It's actually quite beautiful. I got a preview before anybody else, so special access. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, about my film, well, I'm a first year, so we get little limitations with our first year films. Or I guess I should say favorable to academic learning rules. Anyways, so I wasn't allowed to have any dialogue, so thankfully I didn't have to worry about that. But I did get to create like a nice fun disco track with Anya Farmiga, who like I tell like all the time, I would tell him constantly, you're making this film. Like I make the pretty pictures go across the screen, but like if somebody can't be like wee 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 after it's done, then like, you know, it's all for naught. So I had a really great composer.
I worked with my uncle, who's also a composer, but I had never worked with a composer before, actually. Like, before I just used, like, stock music or, like, previously existing music. So it was actually nice being able to work with a composer and focus on how to tell the story through the music as well. I think for the sound design, I was always used to doing the sound design myself, like, with, like and so I think it was hard to translate that to actually like putting in more tangible sound effects, but I think it turned out pretty well. And the sound mixer Daniel Eaton he did an incredible job with like pushing that into a theater setting, because like every time he would be like, oh, we gotta push up the subwoofers on this one, or like, oh, this roar sounds so wimpy. Like, let me push this up. I was like, yes, thank you. Like,
Can I just say, your film is so awesome that I was in Luke's film workshop,
Yes.
and so I got to witness the sound effects live edition multiple times. It is so immersive already that like having the actual sound design built in afterwards was like, or even more incredible. But it was really fun to see you pitch it live. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, maybe I'll post a version of the film where I
You
just do all the sound effects myself on the. For voice actors, I felt weird like asking for voice actors because the lines are so minimal in the film that I ended up just asking classmates for help. So I had Adriana and Ben in my class, and we just like were in A212. What was the A112?
I think it's yeah,
the recording studio,
Yeah.
and like I was very nitpicky with my lines. So I'm very glad that they had the patience for me to be like, okay, can you do that like 5 more times of you saying like nice to meet you? But yeah.
So next we're gonna pick out another blue card.
Me?
Don't mess it up.
Did you encounter a story problem? If yes, how did you solve it? Yes. Well, it wasn't quite a story problem as opposed to I am timing locked because the music existed before the animation problem, which is a problem I encountered every time I have tried to make this film. Things would go by too quickly, or I just didn't feel like I could squeeze enough juicy moments in, because the point of this film, I wouldn't even consider it a film, is it's supposed to be the thing played at the beginning of every episode. So it's okay if things like kind of fly over your head the first 3 times. You want something new to show up each time. But you still want clarity, and I really struggled with that a lot. I had to figure out what would be acceptable to kind of not be immediately readable, what was the key information that is being taken away, and that is why part of my incredibly messy, disorganized process meant that some of the animatic didn't exist until 24 hours before the film deadline. So don't do that. Please don't do that. But it's because I was really struggling. Yeah.
Well, I also feel like it's kind of valid to change things from your animatic into the final product, though, because you end up finding a lot of better solutions or choices. And some things that work in the animatic, they just don't actually work in the final product. So, yeah, I would argue that maybe it's okay to make those last minute changes. I feel like that's what makes the film, too.
Maybe not in the last 24 hours, though. But yeah.
Yes. Story problem. I think I'm taking like a personal story and then trying to tell a story through that. And a lot of my inspirations, they're not a story. They're just thoughts or facts. So putting that into a story was difficult. And also that a lot of the feedback that I got regarding my film was that it was too flat, because it's kind of a narration film. It's almost educational because it's the grandpa like talking to the granddaughter and explaining things. And I wanted it to have slightly a bit of an arc where the granddaughter gets closer to the grandpa. And I think that kind of got solved a little bit more after I talked to my storyboarding teachers, and then they were like, oh, at the beginning of the film, you shouldn't put them in one frame. You should put them in 2 different frames. Yeah. And they were like, you put them together way too early. And I'm like, that is true. So I went back in, and then I only put them kind of together near the very end. And that, I think, helped. Yeah. So, yeah, storyboarding helps.
It was really weird for me because I think last year I was just like, yes, one idea, nailed it. I'm just gonna do it. I stuck to one idea the entire time. And then this year, when I was like, I got an idea, and then I was like, actually, another idea. And then I was like, actually, another idea. I started like freaking out, like, oh my god, I didn't come up with the idea I want to stick with for an entire year in the first try. What am I doing? But yeah, I think I was struggling with just what I wanted to do, because it's like, oh, it's got to fit into 2.5 minutes, but it's also got to be something that I want to work on for an entire school year. So I think the first time I chose something that was really ambitious and super weird, but I was like, it might be too weird and too ambitious, and then I chose something that was a little too normal and too simple, and then so I think ultimately the one that I ended up with was a nice middle ground between the two. But yeah, I think that was mainly the story obstacle that I had to pass, and the rest of it went kind of smoothly from there.
I kept hearing from other people in your film workshop that, oh, Matthew's film changed again.
I kept being like, actually, guys.
How long did it take for you to try this idea, try that idea, and then? Yeah.
I completely boarded, or I thumbnailed entirely a short film, and then I scrapped it and completely thumbnailed an entire one, made it to concept art, and then was like, actually this sucks. And then I started reboarding, and then I reboarded, and then I reboarded, and then I got to the one that I have now. But I went through basically 3 completely different film ideas, from a sitcom to a boy whose feelings control the weather, and then to zombie apocalypse, and I was like, no, crystal apocalypse. So yeah.
Super cool.
I think for my film, it was initially a story assignment I had over my internship at Disney over the summer. And I think one of the notes that I got from previous assignments was that I was kind of lacking in character-based storytelling. So I think for this film, I just really wanted to focus on making strong characters and having that kind of be the core of the story. So I kind of started with just because it was romance, I figured that it would work if the 2 characters were complete opposites to each other. And so within the setting, I thought, well, if there's a really uptight mech pilot who's takes his job really, really seriously, then there needs to be something that throws him off. And so I think having his complete opposite, but he falls in love with her, makes it just an interesting story inherently. So I think really I just came from that core, and everything I did was built around that. So it's all the conflict, all of the awkwardness stems from this person's inability to be honest with his feelings because he's being thrown a curveball with something that he's never experienced before. I think my mentors also, like, shout out to Emily Shu and Tom Caulfield for being able to like help me guide me through that too, because I think initially I feel like I'm always afraid to introduce conflict into my story, but they really pushed me to be like, okay, well, maybe you should make the citizens' lives more in danger too, because it raises the stakes of the story. And like initially, I was like, well, it's too scary. But I think like allowing myself to be like, okay, like if it's gonna be like tense, then let it be really tense. Or if it's gonna be sad, then let it be really sad. You know, I think those like that really conveys to the audience like. You know, I think the more apparent you are with the emotions and the more like you can show that visually, I think that is what helped make the story what it was. Yeah, I think I was also just very scared of the action scene too. People keep telling me that they think I do action well, but I really don't know what I'm doing like every time. So I think I was really stuck on the part, like the finale part where Godzilla is fighting, Thugzilla, because copyright, international copyright law.
We can edit that out.
Yeah. Thugzilla is fighting the robot, or the robot is fighting Thugzilla. But eventually, I think what really helped me center it was just like I originally had it paced to the Blue Danube waltz, and I literally, like, I think it was a couple of hours before the deadline of when the assignment was due, and I still hadn't figured out the action scene. And I was like, okay, it's time to lock in. And I literally, like, listened to the song, and then every time I paused it, and then I would just, like, be like, okay, this happens here at this, like, second of the song, and then at this second of the song, this happens here. And so I think, like, music really helped me guide the story as well in terms of like the finale part for the action. But
oh, it's my turn. Sorry. I actually I had the similar experience about like music being like the guiding for my story. I mean, when you don't have dialogue and you just have physical movement and like visuals and music to tell a story, music is a great guiding point. And I have a musical theater background, jazz hands, and it was really helpful in like helping me quite literally like choreograph this entire what felt like a number, because it was only a minute and a half, so it was almost like creating a dance. The only like real story issues I fell into was I actually had a really much more sadder ending, where like the two. Their names are Al and Rod, because I like really like silly 1970s like bro-y macho names. And they had their night together, and then it was the next morning, and then they were like, oh, we can't be together because it's the 70s and blah, 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 and homophobia. And then I was like, you know what? We got enough of that in the world. I want something happier. And so it just ended with them like having a warm embrace in the morning. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that was my only story hurdle. Back to you.
Okay, so now we're gonna take the last card, which I'll let Luke pick out. It's gonna be the green card.
green card. This one is speaking to me. Oh.
There's sticky notes. There's sticky notes, so they stick to each other, unfortunately.
It says, when do you take breaks and how do you take breaks? Do I go? Okay. I think for me, my breaks were kind of unintentional because I have this bad habit of drinking a lot of energy drinks when I work. And I think... I don't know. It just like really, this is like maybe it's TMI, but like it like really weakens my bladder. So like every 30 minutes, I just end up having to go pee. So I think my breaks are just like my breaks are sanctioned by the energy drinks and the caffeine. So yeah, every 30 minutes, I just ended up like taking a break anyway.
So that's where you kept disappearing.
I'm pretty sure like when I was working in the animation space, like people heard the door open like so often just from me. I was like, oh my god, but I really have to. Like I really have to.
At least you got your steps in. That's good.
Yeah. It's a good way to force you to go to take a break.
Yeah, actually, and I think like it also. Well, another part of it too was I think this year I really learned to like manage my time in a better way, sort of. So when I would work, I would like try to pace myself. It was like, okay, like in this hour, I'm gonna try to get this like amount of this shot done, or like I'm gonna get the roughs done in like the next 2 hours. And then if it's not there, like I try to reassess, and then I'd be like, okay, if this is like, if I didn't get it done in this amount of time, like I can probably get it done in this amount of time. And so like I think setting those mini deadlines for myself also helped pace myself too, where it was like, okay, well now that I'm done with this, I can take a break, or I can like do this. So I think that's what really helped me with in terms of breaks.
Honestly, for breaks, I don't know. I feel like it was more about just making sure I was intentional with my time. So like I'm in school and I work 3 separate jobs, and I go to the gym like 4 days a week. Like I have a pretty packed schedule. So just because it's so packed, and I do other things to like maintain my health and maintain like my finances, bank account. I think it just helped me like remember like when I'm at the labs, I'm at the labs. It's time to work. And yeah, I don't know. I have this little wristwatch that tells me to get up and move around, so that helps too. Yeah, get yourself a Fitbit. We should get sponsored by them. You want to sponsor us, or just sponsor me? That's okay too. All right.
Okay.
On to you, Anya.
Oh, I've been voluntold. Okay. So, I will be graduating in 1 week, but there is one thing that I have not really learned in my time here, and that is my time management. I'm almost certain I have a case of undiagnosed ADHD, but that is a whole separate devil. So what I have found to be useful is having friends that do manage their time. Or in my case, I have a partner, and he would like to sleep at normal hours and get dinner at normal hours, and would come and remind me that I have a bladder that needs to be used. So I when I'm working, all my senses seem to depreciate into nothingness, and I'm either in zombie work mode or zombie stare at the screen and do nothing mode. Usually the latter. But the other thing is I'm deeply inconsistent with my ability to work. I'm a procrastinator. I do have chronic fatigue. Woe is me. But it just means that I have to really maximize my productivity time. When I am productive, I have to do it, which sometimes means that I pull 3 all-nighters in a row, or I work for half an hour, then take an hour break for 3 days straight. It's not necessarily the most healthy, so please do not do that if you can. But at the same time, it is what has worked for me, because I have a little bit of an unconventional body, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I think that the main thing that helped me was having friends that would take breaks. And also, I'm a social creature, and gallery nights still happen, and parties still happen. And I'd go to maybe 20% of them, but that 20% was enough to keep me sane and out of the labs sometimes. Yeah.
I try to stand up every 1 hour, unlike Luke. Sometimes I can just sit there for way too long. And then for the next hour, I just cannot work because of that, because I get way too tired. So stand up. And I try to play sports every day, play badminton with people on campus. I think even if I don't finish, I go play, because I feel like that's actually adding to my time and productivity rather than taking away from that. So I think exercise makes us feel happy and strong and healthy, so that really helps in terms of taking breaks.
I feel like a lot of what has already been said I relate to. I guess adding another thing to the table is just like, I like to have like very like, I must do this every day. Like, I must go on a walk every day. I must sleep at around this time every day. I must eat at these hours. And like, it's like that kind of structure allows for everything else to kind of be more fluid, where I can like go around and do whatever I want in like the times in between, but those things have to happen so that I can be a sane, normal person. And I think another like meter, which I don't know if this is healthy or not, but something that I do to determine like, oh, when should I work on this thing, is I kind of like work on it, and then like I keep working on it until I don't want to work on it anymore. And it's like, if it starts like hurting my brain to keep working on my film, I should work on something else. And so I'll just work on something else, and then eventually I'll either have enough time, or I'll hate the next thing that I'm working on so much that I'll want to go back to the film. And so that's how I take breaks, by working on other things. Yeah.
Can I just add? So I was very much in the context of final weeks crunch time, which is my most unhealthy time. But I do try to take care of myself otherwise. And I think one of my mentalities is that any time outside of the labs is more important than time inside the labs. I was very intentional throughout my time at CalArts that I do not want to leave this place with only memories of a windowless lab. I want to remember spending time with friends from across the different disciplines. I want to do sports. I used to run frequently. I want to go outside of Santa Clarita and into Los Angeles and beyond. And so a lot of my planning for my filmmaking, so this is like right at the beginning, is to make sure that what I am making will allow for those breaks to happen. I do not want to be so overambitious that I will not have a life outside of my film. Yeah.
Actually, adding on top of that, I feel like, because I'm going into my 4th year, and I'm starting to realize that too, where I'm like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't just spend all of my time like working over and over and over again. I mean, I think there is a lot of validity to, you know, grinding in the labs. That's a part of the experience too. But then also, yeah, I think like, you know, enjoying your time here and spending time with other people, it informs your art and films as well. And so I think, yeah, and if anyone who is going into CalArts next year, the next couple of years, like, taking this seriously. You hear it all the time, but like genuinely, like, it is very important to be able to do stuff outside of just what your craft is. So.
Yeah. Crunch will come for you no matter what. But also, some of my favorite memories are crunch time. I mean, you and I sat opposite each other for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would remember to straighten my posture. I'm like, oh, Luke's there. Yeah. Oh, wow. That's his 5th monster that is now in a tower.
Okay, don't forget him.
Which I was gonna say, Monster or Celsius, if you'd like to sponsor the podcast,
That'd be
you or sponsor our school, you would have.
Dude, the vending machines were empty.
They were empty.
There was nothing left in there.
It got to a point where I could not find a Diet Coke or a Celsius to save my life for a week.
We're gonna go into the next section, which I think we might need to speedrun a little bit.
For this part, yeah, just show what you want to share, and then if any of us have questions, we'll ask you.
Yeah, totally. Well, of course. So kind of what I'm showing you is just one shot, but it's kind of in 2 different files, so forgive me. But the first one is just a kind of look. I always like to show the curtain of harmony, like when the curtains go up, how it can look. As you can see, a lot of my film has a lot of like moving pieces. It's almost kind of like theater in that way, so my background definitely came in handy. Yeah, like in this one, for example, like a lot of the times, like for the disco lights, I did all my compositing in Harmony this time around. Wow. So I was able just to like move stuff across the screen and get the effect I want. And then like this was one of the shots that I was really proud of with the dancing and the animation. I had a really good time doing it, yeah, and I just learn Harmony, even if you don't end up liking it. Just learn it. It is a very, very powerful program, and as you can see, like you can duplicate layers. There's all sorts of fun things you can do, and I want to show the infamous node view.
Oh God!
So this is the bane of existence of many people.
It's quite friendly.
But it's actually not that bad.
You organized it well.
So the first one was the first shot I did. Monstrous, evil. I would not wish that on my worst enemy. But as time went on, I learned how to organize it a lot better. There is an amazing channel which I cannot remember the name of, but I might want to give you guys to shout out on amazing Harmony tutorial. She has like the little
bird brain.
the bird brain.
The gold.
Yeah. And so yeah, that was just kind of this is just a little bit look behind the scenes and stuff like that. And like I said, lots of moving curtains. Woohoo!
There is a button in Harmony Node View that allows you to automatically clean up where your nodes are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and so I have never had to tidy my stuff myself. It does it for me. So it's not that bad, I promise.
Is it right here? Is it one of these?
Yeah, I think it's. Oh God, I think it's the third one. Yeah.
These all help a lot, and all you have to do is just like go whoop, select it all, and then clean. Wow. Also learn grouping.
Yes.
Nodes.
Yes.
That's it.
Thank you. I brought some of my references, i.e. stamps.
Early.
So these are all my grandpa's actual stamps.
Whoa.
And yeah, my parents were really dedicated and helpful. They scanned all of those into PDFs and sent it to me. Yeah, and then I organized them into like the years and stuff, and then to just kind of see what kind of stamps there are and what story could I possibly tell with them. Yeah. And then, yeah, as you can see, there's just a variety of styles, which was very helpful for my vis-dev process because I think I need a lot of reference when it comes to vis-dev. Yeah, so I would like look at these stamps and see what I want to incorporate into my drawings, and then the drawings that I have is going to support the story. So it's not necessarily any copies of actual stamps, but I'm taking elements from different stamps and putting it together for my story. Yeah, and as well, sometimes I would ignore historical stuff. Like, for example, the Beijing stamps are actually just like pink, orange, blue, and green. They don't look that nice, in my opinion. So, and for that shot, I needed it to look, well, cool, and like the grandpa went to visit those places, so I just made them colorful. Yeah, so I took reference when I needed, and then I just took creative liberties when I needed.
It was beautiful to see on the big screen.
Yeah.
Your stamps looked stamped.
And like the different styles of the different stamps.
Thank you. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is, but for Chinese audiences, I actually put in some stamps that are actually real in the credits. Yeah, and these are like famous stamps. So Chinese people who collect stamps will, oh, she did her research. More like my parents did their research and then told me to maybe put those in. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's pull up Matthew's stuff.
Color was something that I had to do for the first time because, as second years, we're like, finally, color! I should start from here. So, like, at first I was like, yes, this is when I already had the idea down that I wanted, and I was just drawing out, like, what could it look like, style and stuff like that. My first understanding of color was like, if you just turn everything into one color, it could look pretty nice, you can't go wrong. And just having, like, a contrast between, like, this, like, imaginary world that's made out of like markers and stuff versus like the real world that's like scary and stuff. But I was like, I was still figuring it out. And then at some point I was like, what if the crystals were different colors? Like what if the storm would look like no other apocalypse? Like I didn't want the apocalypse to be gray and boring like in other depictions. I wanted it to be colorful and beautiful. And I feel like that like bright vibrancy kind of also gives like a poisonous, scary vibe. So I was like, this would be so cool. We're gonna have different colors and the sky is going to be this like crazy purple, like purplish, bluish like thing until I realized the whole film is about how the skies are no longer blue. So I cannot make the apocalypse skies blue or anything close to blue. So I was like, damn it! So instead I opted for a more like purplish color, for like a more neutral kind of tone between blue, which is like safe, and red that is dangerous. And then the more dangerous it got, the more red it got. And then I was like, all the crystals will be white because I don't want to deal with different kinds of crystals. And so, I kind of figured out the colors over time, but the thing I knew most was just like, nothing can be blue except for the one thing that is blue. And that was like a really big challenge because I was like, but like, the sky is blue. So it's like, what happens when the sky isn't blue? So that was a big obstacle. It's just like the color. Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yes.
Do you have a gem Sona?
Like Steven Universe?
I'm sorry. You just were talking so much about crystals.
I haven't thought about it. All I know is that my birth crystal thing is amethyst, so...
February baby! Yeah!
So I guess that, maybe. I don't know.
I was gonna compliment though the crystals that in your one vis-dev piece, the big image.
Yeah.
I really like how there's the little ones growing out of it. It almost gives like the cordyceps kind of and like The Last of Us.
I did just enough research to be like, these are what different crystals look like without knowing anything about crystals.
So for mine, I use Harmony as well for my film.
Nice.
And I think one of the big things about this shot was that I was really scared of. Well, for one, I combined 2 shots into one file because I really needed to cut on action like a lot easier. But I think what really scared me was like the second shot because I wasn't really sure how I'd go about it. But I think like just diving into it really helped me. So I figured that I was originally just gonna do like, I was gonna animate the backgrounds, and I was like, okay, no, I don't have the time for that. And then so what I was gonna do was I was gonna have like be one huge banana panorama. But then I was also like, okay, wait, I can't actually fit any of that in there. So what I did was I started with this frame, and then I ended with this frame at the end, where the robot goes up to the. This recording's a mess. But I ended with the final frame where the robot is like standing. I mean, it's like basically this shot, but you know, with the background of the city. And then what I did was that I actually split the background in half. So these are actually two different backgrounds. And in the Harmony file, it's like one long thing, but when you like see it actually there's like the split here, but it cuts so fast that you don't notice it. So it's actually so it's actually two different compositions that I used, and then. Yeah, so it was just one big cheat, but I don't know what's better than like the actual like banana pan. So sometimes less is more. So yeah.
What is animation if not one big cheat?
We're just lying to an audience. I mean, how are drawings supposed to move?
Yeah.
I think that was like one of the big things I really wanted to talk about with this shot. Another thing was that the doors sliding open are actually drawn in. So then what I did was that I drew the background, but then I left everything else blank except for. I just didn't include the doors in, and then I actually animated them and added some additional stuff on top with the animation. But yeah, that's the main thing I wanted to show with this shot. Yeah. So Harmony is, I don't know if it's like a Harmony thing, but being able to work within like the camera moves and actually being able to do it like within the program like made it a lot easier for me to be able to just like make everything more concise and be like, okay, if this doesn't work, let me change this, and then I can do this.
Cool.
Okay, and I suppose from less is more to more is more or something. We'll see if this will open. I made my entire film in one After Effects file. I just like did it in each composition is one shot, and then of course like sub compositions and so forth. This is going to take a second just because we'll need to locate the files, but it should be fine. I think it usually automates itself. Oh, well, okay.
Hey.
Well, maybe you will not be seeing the walking part, which is kind of the fun part, but that's okay. We will see my animated backgrounds. So something I would like to show you is not the screen that is playing, but instead the 102 layers that I have for this shot. So it's technically 4 shots, but they are 4 match cuts where my titular characters, they are walking, and it match cuts from a snowy environment to a rainy environment to a cloudy environment and finally to a sunny environment. And funny you talk about skies being blue, because in my world the sky is yellow. Yeah. Because I like yellow, and there is lore attached to that. But anyway, me navigating things is so scary. I am not one for technology, I say, with 102 layers.
See, people are scared of Harmony. I'm scared of After Effects.
Let me tell a very quick story. I went to CISA in 2018. I was a 17-year-old, and I had never touched After Effects in my entire life, but I desperately needed it to make the film that I wanted to make. It was so scary that I had a breakdown and was crying under a table and literally had to be dragged out by the head of the program. Sorry, Kati. And we went from that to After Effects being my favorite thing. I kind of brute force learned it by doing projects that required After Effects and like compositionally the styles I want. But YouTube tutorials are the most amazing thing. They will show you something very simple, but now you're introduced to a concept within After Effects that then you can figure out how to utilize in like 10 different ways. And so it is no longer a scary thing to me. I understand the interface. And so I guess I'll just scrub through. That's probably our best bet. Actually, maybe we can play. Let's see. So, yeah. But this was a lot of photo bashing and drawing mixed together in Procreate. And I broke out every single layer that was kind of like based on distance. And I made this. There is supposed to be rain in one of these, but I guess it's not showing up for some reason. But you get the idea. Like each of these layers that we see down here is a piece of the background. Like if I turn this off, oh, this is a mushroom. Oh yeah, this is the very mushroom heavy thing. Fun fact, those mushrooms are in fact caramel lollipops that I was eating in D&D, and I just took photos of them from different angles. So lots of adjustment layers and solids to make things like fog. I love masks. Nothing super complex is happening here. Really, truly no crazy effects, no crazy masking. It's just a lot of layers building up to something. Like, let me see if I can show what's more interesting. Well, like in this one, let's scroll up. Oh, and I did color code everything. That is very helpful. Please color code your stuff if you're going to have as many layers as me. Things like the Gaussian blur effect are wonderful for creating a depth of field and also making me realize, oh, I don't have to be fully detailed and accurate for things because it will not be visible anyway. But I'm just switching on and off some layers just to show what is broken out. Anyway, let's see. The most complex thing, I guess, would have been snow and smoke and rain, but like you can't even see it. There's technically smoke here that is animated, but oh, that's not the smoke. Let me use my very good vision that I have. For some reason, my solids don't seem to all be showing up, but that's okay. What you're seeing here, where it's all the colorful bars of death, is actually the reflections of the characters, and so I made these puddles that look super realistic. Again, you'll see in the pasted-in version. But yeah, so this is what 102 layers looks like in I think this is a 3.5 second long shot. And this one took me weeks from animation to final product, but I think it was worth it. This was my more is more shot. Everything else is much more simple. But anyway, yeah, thanks for looking.
Wow. I could have sworn that it was done in CG. I thought you had done like put it together in Blender somehow.
Nope.
So it looks so three-dimensional.
Just a lot of parallax, and it wasn't even using the 3D feature in After Effects because I wanted more fine control over things, and it ended up being faster. Just moving the keyframes of the exposition of the layers. Yeah.
Thing I noticed was that you have the horns like keeping in place throughout the whole cuts, and I was like, damn, wait, I've seen this so many times. But
Yeah. So I haven't, like I said, I haven't finished my film. Like I haven't even textured this tree, whatever. But I want to have more of these speaker towers everywhere we go, because they're.
That's so creepy.
Power in the distance, which are actually match cuts throughout like almost the entire film. Well, not match cuts, but like is present in almost every single shot. Yeah, I have a ton of secrets in the backs of my stuff, deeply unnecessary for those surface level storytelling and for finishing things by film deadline. But it is my self-indulgent way to keep motivated. Like, it's not in this shot, but Luke knows that I have, like, Morse code hidden in another shot.
Hey, don't tell them about that.
Yeah. I don't know where it is. Now you're going to have to find it yourself. So, yeah, there you go. Thanks for looking.
Well, that's the end of the episode. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone for watching. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. I didn't mean to say.
you just can't help it.
But I'm doing it.